Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It's your girl Keys and we're back today with another video which I hope is going to be extremely informative for you. If you're like me and we're getting older and we're trying to figure out what we want to do with our lives, we feel like we got to settle down. Especially if you have kids, you feel like you just want to give them a place of stability and somewhere where they can kind of grow up and just feel like this is my childhood home. If you haven't guessed it already, I'm talking about buying a house, and I attempted that and failed, and I'm going to tell you why. So this video is for veterans or military personnel in particular, but honestly anybody could benefit from this. So if you're interested in hearing about what I'm about to talk about and my personal experience in the house buying process, then stick around for the video. While you're here, there's a red button below. You should hit subscribe, click the little bell notification so that every time I'm uploading. That might help. And I'm not gonna bug you, I'm not gonna hound you, what I'm saying, but you should subscribe and become a Keystone today. So if you're back with us, I want to say back with us like there's other people. If you're back with me, I want to say thank you so much for coming back to watch another video. And if you're new here, I also want to say thank you because you didn't have to choose to watch me, but you did. So come be a part of the family. Okay, so back in December 2018, I was kind of bouncing to and from options. Augusta is not my favorite place, and as much as I like this city, I was raised in Georgia, and I've kind of just been really wanting a change for me. So for a while I was bouncing between staying here or going back to Atlanta where I was actually raised, or just picking another state and just kind of starting new. And financially for me, staying in Augusta right now is the best option, especially when you consider school, tuition, the cost of moving, the cost of living. I took all those things into consideration. I started looking at the housing markets because honestly I could care less for renting, and I'd rather invest in my own property because essentially I'm just making money for other people. And nothing against that, but if you're renting, you have all these rules of the things that you can and cannot do, and I kind of just wanted that space because I've never lived anywhere where I could do exactly what I wanted to do as far as decorating and making it look like and feel like my home. So that was probably like top 3 reasons why I was like, okay, I'm gonna stay in Augusta and I'm gonna get me and Bug a house, and we're gonna live happily ever after for a few years, and then maybe 5 years or so from now, then we'll choose another place to live. So really that was my deciding factor on top of wanting more space. So in January-ish I really started looking for a house or what was available on the market, and I started searching around for realtors. Surprisingly, Facebook will get you in contact with a lot of people. A lot of people put houses and businesses on there, which I had no idea because I barely look at like the sales pages, but yeah, they have it on there. So that's where I found a house that I really liked, and I got in touch with my realtor, who's actually I think pretty popular or well known. I won't say popular, but well known in Augusta. And I talked to a few people before choosing them, and for me, I really thrive off of professionalism. A few people would call me or text me and they just did not give me the vibe that they were looking out for my best interest. So I went and met with a realtor, and super professional, super nice. I always resonate with other moms. So she was a mom. She has 2 or 3 kids, and married. Just a team of well-rounded individuals. And then I went in there and signed my contract so that they would know that I was just working with them and not trying to work with other realtors to see who could provide the best deal for me. Luckily, before then, and you don't necessarily have to do it, but before then I had already got pre-considered for a house loan just to see how much I could have. And it really depends on your credit score. I know a lot of us don't think that credit is important and that we just trying to go around the loop of not needing credit checks and things of that nature, but it is so important, guys. So if your credit is messed up, get that in control now, because the better credit, the more money you're gonna have, the lower your interest rates, the lower your APR. You know, it just, in the long run, it is just so beneficial to make sure that your credit is where it needs to be. So take care of that. So I was already predetermined for a certain amount, and they gave me the chance to work with somebody that they work closely with, and I declined, and they were totally okay with that. So the next couple of months, it was just kind of like finding properties, going to look at properties, looking at areas, looking at school systems, layouts. And for me, it was very important to have a home that was done. Like, I didn't want to have to do any work. I didn't want to have to do any updating. I didn't want to have to fix anything. I didn't want to have to invest any money in the property unless I wanted to. And that's because I have a kid. Like, I couldn't buy a fixer-upper and, you know, be a mom and just like live, like, no, I needed a fully like furnished home completely. So, and for whatever reason, like, my biggest issue with finding a home in Augusta, a lot of homes these days are coming without baths in the master bedroom. I homegirl need a bath. That's where, you know, I use my bath salts in there. I don't, you know, the millennials, I don't smoke them. I don't sniff them up my nose. I put them in my bath. Okay. And a lot of these homes, they're not being built with baths. So even if I found the perfect house, it didn't have a bath. And that was just like, it was a no for me. So it really actually took some time to actually find a house for us. And then when I did find one, obviously, you know, I didn't have everything I wanted in that house, but I had to keep in mind that your first property, you're probably not going to have everything that you want unless you're getting it built how you want it to get built. And so I was kind of like, okay, I'm settling in a couple areas, but I have all these other things on my list. Let's go for this one, right? And as soon as you decide on a house, you let your real estate agent know, and they immediately put in the offer. Because once you put in the offer, it kind of not necessarily secures that house for you, but it lets you know that, or it lets them know that, hey, I'm interested. Can you start working with me before you work with anybody else? So basically, the quicker you put your offer in, the more likely you are to kind of confirm that house for you. So we put the offer in, and it was accepted immediately. And when we started working with this company, they were like, hey, if you use one of our loan lenders to purchase this home, we can save you money on your closing costs. I'm gonna get to that. My first mistake in trying to buy a home was not saving enough for a home. I'm a first-time home buyer, and Carlotta's dad used to say, I bought this house with blood money. I bought this house with blood money. And I was just like, what does that mean? Like, are you a vampire? Like, no, but he donated blood so that he could afford, or so he could get, he donated blood so he could get the house. And I was just like, what did you have to put money? Like, I was 23 at the time. I was like, I don't get it, but you did it, boo boo. You know, proud of you. It's a beautiful house. But I just never, like, I was like, well, if we have the VA loan and it's 0% down, then like, what are you saving for? Like, it just never clicked, and I never really did massive research. So everything was kind of a learning. Actually, not even kind of. Everything was a learning experience for me. And so that was my biggest mistake, was not saving for this house. And for anybody and everybody, even veterans or military personnel who are looking to, you know, invest in a house and use your VA loan, I would say at a minimum have $5,000 saved. If you can, $10,000, you know, but definitely have $5,000 saved, because there are so many fees that come along with buying a house that using your VA loan is not going to be the issue. Because if you're a veteran or military personnel and you have it, you can use it. It's the stuff outside of that VA loan that you have to take care of. So after we put in the offer, you know, I put down some money so they knew that I was serious. And after that, it kind of took off from there. It was a new property, or it is a new property. So it was still getting finished. When I was in the process of buying it. And at the time, my real estate agent was like, hey, we could close in 30 days. So let your landlord know that you'll be moving. And I was like, okay. And I feel like that was my second mistake, is because I should have like really waited until I got document in writing saying, hey, we are gonna close this day. To which, I'll get there. And so after we put the offer down, and it kind of just went from there. And there's a lot of stuff that I'm not a real estate agent, so I don't know all the correct terminology about it. I don't know the names of everything, but we put our offer down. And after that, it was kind of a waiting game. They had to do paperwork. They ran my credit score again to match up with their lenders. They gave me an amount that they were going to pay for. If you have a good real estate agent, they should be able to negotiate putting your closing costs on the end of your loans so that you don't have to pay. But in any case, you still might have to pay some type of money because an inspection has to happen, an appraisal has to happen. Make sure your house is safe. Make sure it's built on a solid foundation. They check for cracks. They check for leaks. They make sure you don't have like termites, you know, all of these things that could come back to bite you in the ass. Your plumbing, basically, people really don't care, unfortunately. And they're kind of like, when they sell you the property or they sell you the house, boom, done. We made our money. Whatever happens that is outside of this warranty, we're not going to take care of. And you're basically SOL. The appraisal people, they come out, they check the house. And what I believe that their job is for is to make sure that they're not charging you more than what the house is worth. So you go through, you sign all the documents, you sign all the paperwork, you saying, hey, I'm trying to buy this property. You put your name on the dotted line. You read through all these documents where they specify what money is going where, what's being done, how much they're going to charge you, how much this and that costs. It's a lot of documents, a lot of things that need to be saved, a lot of things that need to be filed, a lot of things that you have to pay attention to. And I asked a lot of questions to my real estate agent, like, hey, I don't understand. Can you explain this to me? What does this mean? Like, don't be afraid to go in and ask questions, because I had no idea what I was getting myself into. And I need you to dumb it down for me, because, you know, in your world, it makes sense. But to me, a first-time home buyer, it made absolutely no sense. Go through, sign my paperwork. I'm working with their lenders. They take like, I think, $3,500 off of closing costs. And at that point, I believe we were just waiting for the house to be finished. I think they just needed to put some brick on the outside, and they had to do a few adjustments on the inside. So that's what we're waiting for at this point. Their mistake was that at that point, they were not communicating with my real estate agents. They were just communicating with me, which I was unaware of. Why are y'all just communicating with me? I don't know what's going on. And when I was emailing one of their representatives, I'm a full-time student, so my availability is very limited. And she was like, hey, we need to do a walkthrough of the home. You need to be here at this time and this day. And I was like, hey, I can't because I have class. Can we reschedule? And she was like, no, that's all he has available. So that was my first red flag, was that you were not willing to negotiate with me. If they're not willing to negotiate, I would kind of just leave it there. Because if they're really looking out for you, and if they really want to sell you this property, they're going to make it work to where they are available when you want and need them to be available. And she did not work with me at all. So I was like, well, I can't be there. Oh well, too bad. And the day of the walkthrough, another guy, the builder, actually called me and was like, hey, are you gonna be here? And I was like, well, I told her I couldn't meet you at this time, blah blah blah. And he was like, oh, okay, well, I have time. What time works for you? And I was like, oh, okay, this ain't right. But yeah, I'll meet you after class. So I met him after class. It was my first real walkthrough of the house. House is beautiful. Upstairs, downstairs, 3-bedroom, 2.5 bath. My biggest qualm was that the garage was big as hell and there were no windows in the front of the house at all. Oh, and the backyard was small, but there was so much property on the side that I was okay. But yeah, that was my biggest qualm. So we went through and we marked the house together. And then I think a couple days later, my real estate agent was like, I had no idea that we were scheduled for a walkthrough. And then basically that's when we found out that the company that we were working with, it was their first time working with them as well, but that the company we were working with, their communication was trash. Like, it was trash from beginning to end. Like, at least they were consistent, but it was like all over trash. And I was like, for now on, when you guys email me and talk to me, you guys need to CC my real estate agent, because I don't know what we're talking about. I don't know what's going on. Keep them in the loop. And then they would try to tell me, well, this isn't, really a discussion we have with them. And, because it discusses your finances. I was like, they know about my finances. I need to have them in just in case y'all are trying to tell me something that I'm not okay with or that I don't know about. They need to tell me, hey, this is cool, or hey, this is not cool. I need that honesty, because I don't want to buy a house and then be jacked up when I get in this house. So for further on out, they started CCing them in every single email. And before I even communicated with these people, I would text my real estate agent and be like, hey, this happened. Do I sign this? Do you want to look over this? And anytime I had a question, I would email them my documents and go from there. So we had that first walkthrough. And because I'm, I hold people to their word. They were like, after that first walkthrough, the brick was supposed to be done that next week. So I waited an entire week, and then the week after that, I went and checked on the house. I'm like, okay, well, let me go see, because they said the brick was supposed to be done. Let's go see what it looks like. Oh, I'm so excited, blah, blah, blah. So I went and checked on the house, and the brick was in the driveway. Nothing was done. And I was like, okay, that's cool, even though he told me it was supposed to be done last week. All right, so red flag number 2 as well, the house wasn't done, and she was like, hey, we're going to be closing on this Friday. But I'm like, the house isn't done, so how are we closing on a house that's not finished, or a house that hasn't got inspected, or a house we haven't done a final inspection on? Like, I'm not the most qualified, but I need you to make it make sense for me. So that was red flag number 2. And I'm pretty sure it was the same lady that we were talking to who was trying to rush paperwork. So what you want to make sure when you're buying a house, if you're coming from renting to buying, is making sure that your mortgage is pushed out enough to where you're not paying a rent and a mortgage in the same month. Because that was like one of my biggest fears. I was like, I can't pay rent and then pay a $1,100 mortgage, and that's not going to work for me. And with the way she was trying to close, I would have had to do that. Every time you sign paperwork, if something changes, if something is off, it has to go back and get changed. It has to go back and get corrected, amended, and then 4 or 5 people, and then 4 or 5 and then the same people have to re-sign it. So I have to sign it, the lender has to sign it, the builder has to sign it, my real estate agent has to sign it. So we went through that quite a lot because they just could not get it right. So then, what was this? This is around like April time frame. The house was supposed to be done in April. It was not done in April. And at this point, I'm like, I'm getting stressed because we have, like, the lease is ending, because I told my landlord, hey, we're moving and we got to move out, and there's stuff that I have to do at this place to get ready for this place. And I'm now approaching the end of my semester, and you guys know the end of semesters is finals. And I was just like, I don't think this is going to work out. But I was trying to keep positive. The thing about doing an appraisal is they have to come when the house is completed. So they came and inspected the house, but they were like, you have to finish it before we can give you a final anything on this house. And every time the person came back out to inspect the house, it costs. That's time and money. So we had to do like 2 re-inspections, which was more money added on to the closing cost. And then when the final notice from the appraisal came back, I think we're charging like $3,000 too much on the house. And I guess that made them upset because they thought they were going to get over. And they were like, well, you need to shell out more money because we're going to lose money if we put out any more money on this closing cost. Even though it was in the documents that they sent me that they said they were going to pay that much money to close on the house. So red flag number 3 is they were trying to go back on a contract that they had sent me and signed already. That was red flag number 3. When people go back on there, you can't just say, oh, I don't want to do that anymore after it's in writing. That's not how that works. And that's exactly what they did. So spring break has passed. Lottie's birthday has passed. And now I'm down to like 2 weeks left in my townhouse. And finals approaching and getting ready to go back to work. And it was just, it was so freaking stressful. And so we're getting ready for that. And I think I was getting ready for juries, and I got a call from my real estate agent that was like, hey, they said that you basically need to come out of pocket, I think like $2,000 by basically by like the end of the weekend, or they're putting the house back on the market. And I was just like devastated, because from the beginning the numbers as far as closing costs, they varied. Like it was never steady. At one point it was like, okay, just pay $200 to close, pay $500, okay, pay $300, okay, pay $56, okay, we owe you $100, okay, do this, okay, do that, okay, $2,000. So I'm just like $250 to $2,000. It's quite a jump for me, you know, for somebody who was prepared for a certain amount. And so I'm trying to like figure out how I'm going to pay for it. Do I have to take out a loan? Do I have to, you know, use my credit card? Am I going to do this? Am I going to do this? And then I opened up to James about the situation, and he talked to his parents, and they were like, yeah, they're kind of doing you dirty. They're ripping you off, and you just need to back out of that shit. And like inner me was like torn. I was like, yo, I've been working for this for months. I just wanted a home for me and my baby. Like, why is this happening to me? It just felt so unfair at the time, and I hated the feeling of not getting something that I put so much time and energy in. One thing about me is I don't like wasting my time, and I feel like even though I learned from it, that I wasted so much time, and I was so stressed out during the semester trying to buy a house and focus on school and work and be a mom and deal with the ups and downs of life, that if I knew it was going to turn out like this, I wouldn't have even tried. Like, really? So that was my initial thought when that happened. And so I contacted my landlord and was like, okay, this is going on. This is what's happening. And I'll just keep you updated. And she was like, yeah, you're a good tenant, you can stay. And I was like, whew, that out the way. And then I let my real estate agent know, this is what I don't like about this company. This is what has struck me as wrong. The professionalism is terrible, the communication is terrible, and I have this unsettling feeling that if they've been like this the entire time while I've been trying to buy this house, after I buy this house, what type of people are they going to be? Like, they're not just going to change and be like, our bad, we didn't mean to do you like that but we're going to be better. Like, that's not how that works. And what they were doing is, one of the women who was throwing us all these numbers, she wasn't communicating with her boss. So she was like, oh yeah, this is gonna work, and then being like, hey boss, this is what I told him, that cool? And the boss was like, nah, that's not cool. You don't think you need to talk to your boss before you confirm stuff with us? And I also feel like that's kind of, you know, a fault on my real estate agent, is because he didn't confirm that was going to be the final price with her. So he was also giving me different numbers. It's like bad gossip. Like when one thing starts and it goes to the next person, and it spreads like wildfire, and it shouldn't. And that's what happened. And at that point I was just like, look, no, I'm done, and I'm not trying. And that's it. Like, don't threaten me with a good time. If you say you need to have this money by this time, or we're putting it back on the market, put it back on the market, because I just feel like you don't threaten people that you're trying to be wholesome salesmen to. Like, you don't do that. So I was like, cool, put it back on the market. It is what it is. And if it was meant to be, it would have happened. And it took a few days for me to really be like, okay, this is what happened. And it took a few weeks for me to be like, all right, what did we learn from this? How can we be better next time? How can we move forward and make better decisions? So my first experience with home buying was stressful, and it was just anxiety ridden, and it was tiring. And I feel like the next time I buy a house, it's probably going to be filled with those things, but on a different scale. And I feel like when you have the right property, then you just know, and that things won't be so strenuous and so hard on you. Like, nothing worth fighting for is easy, but I shouldn't be pulling on my edges either. Like, the people that you work with are supposed to help you, and they're supposed to like guide you and help you make the right decisions and look out for your best interest. And the company that I was trying to buy the house from, they weren't doing that, and it was apparent. And now that I look back, I'm so happy I did not get caught up in trying to get this house that I might not have been able to afford or take care of, or have been trying to play catch up until I got into a good space. Whereas right now, even though I'm still renting, at least I'm at a property that I can manage, and that I don't have to suffer through, and that, like, after I pay my bills, I can still go and get, you know, Lottie a pair of jellies, or you know something that she needs or something that she wants. Like, I can still go get us some frozen yogurt, and we can have a mommy daughter date, you know, and still be comfortable. And when you're buying a home, you just have to make sure that you're living within your means. And that was probably another big lesson that I learned. Like, I knew that here, but I think I just got so caught up on, oh, we're gonna have a home and the way it's gonna look and the way it's gonna feel. But if I would have been there, it would have been so like stressful, and I probably would have felt like I made the wrong decision. And yeah, I'm so blessed that I have friends who look out for me and did not get into that property, because now I'm here, and now I'm just like, I can't see myself being in Augusta for another 5 to 7 years. Like, I just can't. And had I gotten that home, I would have had to stay in Augusta for like 5 to 7 years, because getting a house is easier than getting out of a house. Kind of like getting married is easier than getting out of a marriage. Like, it's hard as hell, quite literally. And that was my home buying experience. I hope I kind of like opened some eyes. If you guys had a different experience, let me know down in the comments. And if I forgot to touch on something, let me know down in the comments, and I will like answer all of your questions. Or, you know, just, we can feed off of each other. Like I said, I don't know everything. I'm just telling you guys what my experience was. I feel like I got everything. Honestly, it was an awful experience, but I am so glad that I had it, because that's going to stick with me, and I'm so much more informed, you know, for when we do move and find a place that we want to settle. And I know what to do and what not to do. I know that I need to save just in case some shit pop off and I need some extra money, or, you know, just really think about, you know, the decision in buying a house, where you want to stay, you know, if you have kids, what school district you want to live in, what kind of refrigerator you want, what kind of washer and dryer. Like, everything adds up. And even with you using a VA loan, you're going to have to come out of pocket at some point. So just be prepared to do that, and just make sure where your home is, or where you're trying to buy a home, make sure you're going to be there for an extended period of time. Make sure you're not on the fence like I was. Fight off as many obstacles while trying to get through this journey. You're going to be so much better off when you finally get there, when you finally get your keys. And make sure you have a good team. Make sure you have an awesome real estate agent who is genuinely looking out for you. And I feel like you'll be straight if you do that. So, as per usual, learn from me. If this helps, let me know. And if you're looking to get a home, I wish you the best of luck. And I hope that it is everything that you want and need it to be. So let me know what you think down in the comments. I respond to everything. I'm looking forward to any feedback. If you have any questions, go ahead. You can DM me also on Instagram. If you sat to this video, I appreciate you. And if you're not subscribed by now, I feel like what better time than to do it than now. And share this video, give me a like, a thumbs up, and I will see you guys next time. Love you, bye.